You are listening to Fika with Vicky on United Public Radio, 107.7 and 105.3 from New Orleans.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fika. Fika's with Vicky's guest this week is Kim Cayer. Kim is an author, playwright, and actor. Today, we're going to discuss her novel, Kitty Casino, but we're also going to peek into her other work for reference and fun. I felt all the emotions while reading Kitty Casino. I think it's possible for everyone to find themselves in one of the relationships or roles that she portrays: mother, child, wife, friend, even a combination of them. And while laughing, you may find that you feel more than you expected to. You may feel all the emotions. However, if you feel like returning to the 70s and 80s and doing the chicken dance, that's a completely different story. Thanks for writing us this opportunity to consider our relationships and choices in the safe world of fiction, Kim, and welcome to Fika.
Thank you so much for having me. And that was a great description. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It is a deceiving novel, I think, for people. It takes some getting into the novel to really see what it's all about. And you know, I don't think that that sometimes you don't even feel it until you've already read that book and see how all the things come together for you. But it was definitely a fast-paced, keep turning the page book, as was Dirty Numbers. When I read that, it was just like, you know, let's keep reading. I read that in a day, so obviously it it kept me going. But
And they're not little books. They are,
no, but when I get going, Kim, it's just like, also I had the deadline, right? Show is coming. Must finish, but there wasn't any fight in me to do that. So it wasn't like I have to finish this book. It was just like, I gotta find out what happens. There's a difference in those two things. But before we go on, could you please give a description for all those people out there saying, of Kitty Casino, what are they talking about?
All right. Kitty Casino is about this girl who, we'll say, like, she's narcissistic. She's just into herself and what makes her happy. And she accidentally has, children twice, twins and a single one, before she's 18, not cut out to be a mother, dumps them on her own mother, and she takes off with a rock and roll band, which she eventually manages. And then after 15 years, because of her high living, she's kicked out of the band and she's got no money, nowhere to go except back to Toronto. And she moves back in with her mother. Her kids don't need her. They're all grown up. But the mother has developed this odd addiction to casinos. So that's where a lot of the conflict comes in.
And she does she didn't. Oh, this is so hard without giving spoilers. But I feel that she was a mother, just not to her children. She gave all of that to everyone else, but because she didn't feel that the children gave back to her.
Yeah, she was a road manager. She didn't know. She thought all this baby and stuff like the growing up stages, she wanted nothing to do with that. But she was with a rock band of 4 like crazy guys
who needed growing up,
who needed mothering. She was always taking care of them, doing their laundry. So she was a mother to this rock and roll band for 15 years, but not to her own children.
And then she comes home and she faces her choices.
Yeah.
And that's something that is difficult for some of us to do at sometimes. So I found this, as I pointed out, to be a very witty but provocative book, making you look at, your roles and your things. And could be a very touchy book for some people, depending on their relationships. But the family itself in the book was very forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested in reactions from the readers, how other people felt about this. Because I gotta be part of the gang. No, no, no. So
Whose team are you on?
I'm I'm probably on the mother, on Kitty's team, and I am on the kids' team, but I feel they're being a little Rudolphy about this. Like, that's okay, Santa. I'll pull the sleigh.
Yeah, well, now their life is starting. They're all going off to
Yeah,
universities and
but they still are. They still, I think, are very kind to her in the end,
mhm,
considering. And I put that on the grandmother's raising of them.
exactly.
So
And forgiving of their mother, you know.
yes, they are very. So I am on team kids as well, but they have their whole lives ahead of them and they can. So I'm, mostly on team kitty, I think.
Yeah, most people are, and that kind of pleases me because I didn't when I wrote it, I didn't want to write your typical, this star, the main lady is beautiful and the main lady has got all these wonderful qualities. I wanted to make Tammy, very not unlikable, but she had to grow on you.
Which is interesting because I've had this discussion with other authors, and I will say I love the book. It's fantastic writing, but I don't care for the protagonist. And they'll get very they don't like that. But there's so much good writing, like Breaking Bad. We didn't like that protagonist. But that
She
made
was
the story. Yes. So you
bad.
don't have to like the protagonist to like the book. But
Mm,
fortunately, but it is good. Sometimes they have to start out, so there is a learning curve there. Otherwise, there's no learning curve
yeah,
if the protagonist starts out perfect, right?
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so you don't have to. It is she may not be someone you want to identify with, but she may be someone who in some ways we see in ourselves as well, that we're not always sensitive to the people around us or
Mm.
or so yes, I'm so glad to hear that and not wanting the tip. I can't imagine that, and because you did a wonderful job of portraying what happens with that, like the lack of money, the lack of appreciation. Sh
Yeah, and Tammy too. Like when she gets back to Toronto, she almost expects to go back into that. Mom, take care of me now again. And the mom's like, no, it's not. Things are
I
different.
love
Things are
Kitty. I
different.
love Kitty. Kitty may be my hero, my role model for future years. So look out, world. It won't be casinos. It will be flea markets and garage sales and thrift stores. But she had that going for her too. So that's um that's the way it is. Author Brian Greiner would like to know,
Oh,
Kim, do
mhm.
you identify with any of the characters in your novels, or are you simply playing with fictional what ifs?
Okay, Brian. And isn't Brian the one that you spoke of so wonderful? Uh, yeah.
Did I? Brian, don't listen to that. I never say a wonderful thing about you.
Well,
Now he's going to
Brian,
be curious.
in my first book, which was a creative memoir, everything was true. Um, in that book, when I got this job, I was so unbelieving that such a job could exist and such. I was talking to actual humans with disgusting wishes. So I was writing down secretly all this, as
That's
much
dirty
dialogue.
numbers. Yes.
Yeah. So that one is, I didn't write, this was happening to Kim in the book. I think her name was Jessie. Yeah, Jessie in that book. And she wanted to own a fabric store, which was not, I wanted to be a writer. So that was a little bit of tweaking I did. But as a memoir, of course, it's about me. Um, Lights, camera, dissatisfaction. A lot of it was stuff that was similar to, oh my goodness, a lot of it was true. There was one scene called a whole chapter about the beast experiment. It reads like such unbelievable fiction, but it actually was like I was retelling on Scarborough Bluffs, which is like cliffs, and I had to wear a fur bikini. It was like set in caveman days, but yet one of the cave
They
one
want
of the
for
cavemen one of the cavemen had glasses on, low budget. So, so that was, but the one that's most resembling my life was No Fire Escape. Sorry, in Hell, because that was about a singing telegram performer, which is what I did so much of, especially as Marilyn Monroe. And a lot of that. The only thing that was really different was that I never actually lived in my car. But, a lot of the scenes were quite true to life.
And we were going to discuss that because you have had a very, like, from a small town in Manitoba where you were
Hmm.
discovered for the K-Tel. Yes, remember the K-Tel advertisements, people. The K-Tel chicken dance album. And then and with that success under your belt, you went off to Toronto to find your career and life.
Yeah. Can you
And
believe that? Just you want to know the background of that story? How this all
yeah,
happened?
how did you get discovered for the K-Tel chicken dance?
I was in my 5th year of employment at the Winnipeg Police Department. And then somebody said, I was working with a girl whose brother worked at the KTEL, and he said they're shooting a commercial and they need some background people. And my friend says, oh, my girl, I just did like a community theater play. That's all I did. Oh, she's into acting. And they said, oh, I said, what does it pay? All you can drink. So, and I'm not much of a drinker. So I got there and I had a few, and I was very enthusiastic.
Uninhibited.
Yeah. So I ended up like on all the commercials. I ended up on all the record album covers. Me showing all the moves, little tiny eyes.
You're gonna have to send me a picture of the album cover with the circle, because I was looking at the YouTube videos, and there is a video on Winnipeg Retro, I think, but it's filmed in in that time, so it's kind of fuzzy for my old eyes to sort of
I'll try
like
to find it for you.
see.
I'm, wearing. I had the perm. We all had that perm back then.
And I just love that. And so then you came to Toronto to continue your acting career and to take it further. And you
Mhm.
started writing. Did you write the plays before attempting a novel?
No, I had. Um, no, I had Dirty Numbers written quite early. I never finished it until I met my husband, and he was saying he had never, read a whole book in his whole life. He just hated reading. And I said, well, try reading my book that I had written. And he was so caught up in it. He was like, oh, send me the next chapter, and I want to see the next chapter. So I finished writing that one with the help of another person who I gave the whole copy to. He was like an editor of a magazine, like Truck and Tractor, something like that. But he read it and he said, I have a friend who's self-published. So that was my first attempt. I just wanted to get it out of my mind,
Yeah,
so
and
much out of my mind, out there. And I did that. And sometimes I will go to like a book thing, and I'll just read a quick little page of it, and I see people with their cell phones and they're ordering it. They're like, thank you.
that is the convenience of today, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can just. And speaking of reading your novels, now you yourself have a YouTube channel, Kim Reads.
Yeah, it's
Just
called
very self
Readings by Kimmy.
Readings by Kimmy.
Yeah.
And you
So
have part of or all of, I didn't get a chance to check them all out, of Dirty Numbers on
yeah.
there. So if people want to catch a little bit of your reading and then find their cell phones, that would be lovely. Do you have any of your other books on there, or just that one?
No, just that one. And that was when COVID hit, I really thought I would be inspired. And for some reason, nothing was coming. I couldn't even write, my grocery list. It was just so um I walked with my dog a lot and I cleaned every square inch of my house. But then I decided I want to get this book out as like an audio kind of a thing or some because I discovered podcasts and 20-minute people talking for 20 minutes and I fall asleep to that. I don't know if this is kind of stuff you would fall asleep to, but anyway, so I said I'm going to start doing a little segment and maybe people get into it. And I just recently just listened to the very beginning of episode 1, chapter 1, and I give you guys such a big warning like now's your chance to like get out of this channel, don't watch anymore cuz it is very
Oh,
nasty.
yes,
Mhm.
we have to give a disclaimer. I think that this book does not blame the women working in this
No.
industry. It doesn't even blame a lot of the clients, but there are subject matters that are just anybody would blame. They're places we don't want to go in a lot of cases, except that they're part of the story and it's showing the world what actually does happen in this industry.
Yeah.
So if you have experiences from your past that might trigger you, might have you going down a darker path and thought, not make your day so sunny. You may want to stay away from this.
There you
But
go.
if you're anybody else and you are curious and you want to know what does happen in this world of the phone sex business, then I suggest this book because it is done so matter of factly. It's not done provocatively in order to get you. Anyways, we'll not
Yeah.
finish that sentence because
And Vicky, I gotta add, I gotta add. My mother's watching this. I was not one of the operators, Mom. I took, I took your credit card. I was like, "Do you have a credit card, sir?"
Yes, yes, this is very clear that this is a very naive, innocent girl who was obviously raised well by her mother and
Yeah,
would never do that. And suddenly she's in this world and money needs to be made for all of us, and we quite often do. So she didn't want to do this anymore than somebody flipping burgers may want to do that, or some other job that I mean some people love flipping burgers, but this was just an end, right? They're like a means to an end. and
no,
and
I was
so
only the secretary. I was not the
yes, yes, this was,
heavy.
she did not, this is where her acting career ended. The line was drawn. Okay, this once again, Kim
Oh,
was never one of the actresses involved in this
oh,
line.
that's an
She
excellent
was
say.
she was the secretary and receptionist who took the information and took the money and moved as quickly as she could to the next call, washing her hands a lot. Okay.
And you know what, Vicky? I never called them actresses in the book, but that's exactly what they were.
I think so.
Yeah.
So, if you want to make any updates, go ahead.
Revisions.
I'm putting it out there. So if you are someone writing a book where a character is involved in this business, I also suggest it as reference because you hear right from them, how they're feeling about
Mhm.
it every minute as Kim wrote it down. So it is a reference, it is an understanding, and it is very straightforward and does not glamorize anything about the
Right.
business. Okay. Here he is again. Brian, Kim, do you find any difference in how you approach writing books compared to plays? See, this is why Brian gets on my nerves because, as you know, that was one of my questions.
Mhm. And Brian, question 4.
That's okay. Thank you, Brian. Okay. So, is it different writing a play to writing a novel for you?
Yeah, totally. 100% different. Um, a lot of times, if I'm going to write a play the correct way, you have to write, entrance, stage left, or something happens here and there. I don't even really would consider myself a playwright, although I have written them. And the one that I wrote so many years ago, which was called Memories of Marilyn, that's back when I was really heavily into film and theater acting. So I was reading plays all the time. I had the lingo in my head. And now I don't even, I just write what somebody might, he starts laughing hysterically, but he's not stage right, stage left. And I just sort of feel like my novels just come out of me much easier. Plays are a little bit more, got to shorten things so much and you only have this much time to get this much said. And
So you're
use
working with a time factor as well as the plot factor.
Mhm.
So it does, because I just want to say, as she says, you have to cut all the words down. I find your writing very concise. Like there's not a lot of extra with no purpose. So it's interesting that you would say
Try
you have to
editing my
do the
latest book.
thank you. That's not my job. My job is just to read it after you do all the work. But so it is a labor, I suppose, because it's communication, and it's just two people talking to each other, right? So, and communication has to be very concise and informative. So yeah, I can.
Yeah. You know how in a book you can say, like in a play, he moved stage right, he walked over stage right. But in a book you could say he walked over aggressively, each footstep sounding loudly. You could make it more visual, like you can see it happening. So, and in a play, I guess the director will read it, he'll know what he's gonna do.
But it's very dry if you're just
Yeah.
picking up with yourself without that in mind.
Yeah.
So I can see that. So you are more, I'm going to grab it, Brian. You won't get this question. So you are more of a pantser than a plotter.
See, when I saw that, I said, I never heard that word pantser.
Okay, so pantser is writing by the seat of your pants.
Ah.
And plotting is plotting.
Yeah, I would say half and half, because I write, I'll think of scenes, or I'll think of one thing that I want to get across in the book, and I'll take a piece of paper and I'll write it. It might be whatever notepad I have going at the time. And at the end, I'll put them in order and I'll say, I'm ready. Because inside of me, I feel almost a whole book. I feel like I could just sit, type, 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 type. But I just got to look at sometimes my little plot points.
Right. So you have that curve there. You have that, say in Tammy's case, her growing curve.
Yeah.
And then the story just weaves around it. Hi,
Yeah,
Darius. Thank you for
change.
joining us. Yes, yes. So that being said, and now that we're into the play section, and so you have 3 plays out there, and that you have acted or starred in, written and produced. I'm still going to start calling you Sylvester Stallone because we're talking about Philadelphia and those stairs. Yeah, earlier. So one of them is Memories of Marilyn. What drew you to Marilyn? Why was that the person you chose?
Again, and Marilyn, bless her heart and everything else, was such a major source of income for me. She bought my house basically. But the reason I got started is because I was just an actress. I moved out here to pursue acting. And then I got hired for a Sears commercial. I'm really dating myself, but anyhow.
Okay. I have a feeling that, the people who listen to this show are remembering all of these things along with you.
Yeah. So I was modeling, me and my husband were modeling our house coats, but they wanted a Marilyn Monroe type. So that I remember going to the library downtown Toronto, looking her up and seeing like poses. And then somebody from that commercial saw me and referred me to this other job where there was 3 nightclubs opening in Toronto, and they drove me around in a limo to do like a special appearance at each one. I thought, my God, this job is so amazing. I get a limo, and the jobs just kept coming in. So then I started studying her. But when I wrote the play, I really wanted to get a feel of a lot of different things that happened in her life, and because the play that I wrote was not all about Marilyn, it was a lot of the factual events. But
Mm-hmm.
there was another girl in current times who also had that same look and that same vulnerability and was in the same bad situations. What do you call casting couch, all that stuff. So it was like Marilyn trying to give her like some kind of advice from beyond.
So first, so it wasn't like you chose Marilyn. It was almost like she chose you.
Yeah, yeah. And I
And
mean, I was doing her till maybe long past expiration date.
well, yes, you give the illusion. Obviously, that energy is there that they pick up on because they're still asking for you to do Marilyn, aren't they?
I still got a couple, but I think that they, last saw me like maybe 7 years ago and still want that same. Because I had a great act. I could do it in my sleep. I could put my makeup on in my sleep because I did it so many times. Like I used to say, I went to like 1,000 parties a year almost, but always as Marilyn or events. So like probably 10 a week, easy.
And the other thing is, knowing the Sears catalog, it really surprises me that they asked for a Marilyn Monroe
It
type.
was a
Like it was not.
commercial. It was
It
a
was it
commercial.
was a commercial, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking of modeling for the catalog because it never seemed that exciting to go in those
No.
um directions. Oh, this is a compliment. Where can I put that? Oh, hi, Sarah.
Hey, Zara.
Enjoying two lively ladies talking literature plus more. Way to go, Kim and Fika with
Yay.
Vicky. Yay! We like us. Oh, why doesn't she know this? Never knew my sweet friend has written plays in her secret bag.
Yeah,
Is
I
this not
know.
something you share with like even your writing group?
Oh my goodness. Okay, you want to know what I'm doing right now, Vicky? I will tell you.
Okay.
I used to also write movie scripts, right? And I even had my two of them optioned in the past, but I have a lot of movie scripts that never got made. Of course, being the writer, I like them. I think they're good stuff. So I'm taking one now and completely revising it and turning it into a novel. And I don't know if I'm cheating, but it took me a long time to write
That's
that.
not cheating.
But it seems like I have a ready made, like talking about plotting. Every note. Now this happens in the script. Change it to the book. So
You're a thrifter. That is repurposing. That is repurposing,
oh my goodness.
Kim,
Wow.
because it's not tourism, okay? You're not doing that. You're just taking something that you created before and putting it
Mhm.
into a different form. I mean, people do that with going back with books, updating them, everything. So no, it's not cheating.
Good, because I got like
You're so
four more
cute.
scripts in there.
No, so that's another. So you do want to dedicate the rest of your life to writing. This has become a passion, and that's where what you're looking forward to doing. Is that what
Yeah,
we're
it has always been a passion. And I just came back from like this holiday and I just kept thinking, I can't wait. The only thing that I miss is the book that I'm writing right now. I have animals. They're in good care. I really didn't miss them for the last 2 weeks. Um,
the
my son,
scandal?
I know my son. I didn't miss my son.
You've spent a lot of time with him.
Well, I do.
I'm thankful to said son because he got you on here and ready to go. So you didn't have to stress and we could really enjoy ourselves. So thank you, son. And that is it. But what are you working on now, Kim? What is the book that you missed?
Well, the book that I missed is going to be titled so far The Pleasure Club. So that is about halfway, almost I would say halfway through. Um, But after that, I'm going to go back because I have a new computer. So, oh, Vicky, I don't even want to talk about this because I'm sort of well known for being so.
It's a difficult think about how much we've had to learn. You know, our parents had to
I
learn
know.
how to use a microwave.
Pretty
That
much.
was difficult for technology-wise. Not that they didn't have to learn a lot of other stuff, or please, I apologize to all people of my parents' generation. You had it rough. But we went from only be able to watch Bewitched when it was on the television set where we only had like 3 or 4 channels. I don't know what they had out where you
Yep.
were.
Same thing. 3 or 4 channels. I know.
To like
And one had to be in
streaming.
French.
And did that make us learn it? No. Well, you may. I'm not very good with accents. I mean, accents or language learning. That's my thing. Okay. So you're working on
That
this
one,
book.
yeah, and editing the next book, which I have written probably like 3 years ago. But sometimes when you write a book, I love to leave it alone for a while, go
I think it's
back,
good.
and now I got to really I got to edit hard, and it's it's gonna be one of those things where I may have to give it to somebody else and tell them like, just tell me what needs to be chopped and what is really not necessary. But I call it the Book of Boys. That's the one book that I think might need to be changed because you're not going to pick it up and say, "Oh, there's a lot of boy names in it." But it's about. I'll tell you what happened. Um, People sometimes tell me I write sexy books, and I don't really think because I'm not a fan of like sexy movies. I don't
There
like to.
isn't. You don't have sex scenes
No, I
in what I've.
don't. I
No.
mean,
Okay.
it might say it happened. You know, they did it, and they might have. But there's no description of it. It's not my style. So this is right when what was that 50 Shades of Grey around
Mhm,
that time.
mhm.
Maybe it was after, a little bit after, was popular. And I thought, let me see if I can write a sexy book. Page one, I was off that idea. But I wrote about sex. This book is so about sex, but it's about a girl's addiction to it. And again, no, you know,
So no,
real dirty
I want
stuff.
to say that because I wrote that down and felt so clever at some point, and now now the words aren't. But yes, you write about women finding themselves in real world situations. Like these are situations that women, you don't blame them. You tell the story of
Mhm.
how they got there, how it has affected them, and and what comes of it. That it's like it's a part, and more people have fallen into these situations than the world talks about, or you know without
Mhm.
giggling, or just whispering, or you're very straightforward and out there with it.
Well, that's what I try to show, like, even with Kitty Casino. That was about, it could almost have been like not elder abuse, but taking care of your aging parents and about addictions. And same with the No Fire Escape in Hell. That was about being homeless, having to live in your car. Even though you have a great job and everything, there's, extenuating circumstances why this is happening.
And I think they really are a service. Okay, they're fun. I don't want to make this like read
True.
Kim's books because it's an
True.
important social issue thing to do. Uh, it's
No.
it is a service, and you can read them. They are involving. It's so weird that they can also be entertained. Yeah, it's just because you feel all the feelings. It's not anger is bad or this is bad. It's a roller coaster. A life is a
Yeah.
roller coaster, and you portray that through the method of your writing as well as the story itself.
And I heard people say that, I laugh on every single page. So thank goodness, they're mostly comedic about deep
It,
subjects.
No, well, see, I think laughter is the most important thing of all, because there is a thing called the warrior laugh. And I think your characters have that. They don't give up regardless. They keep on going. There are tears, and there is laughter at oneself, as well as it clears the mind so you can enjoy. It's that break. If it's too heavy all the time, you start to sink. But that's why it's a roller coaster. It's like up.
Yeah.
That's why your name is Cayer, as in Yippee Cayer. Because when you're riding the book, it's like you're in a rodeo emotionally. So that that works out.
Boy, I
Okay.
need you to write all my blurbs.
I'm so behind on reviews. I am now again apologizing to all authors. But you need more. I saw your thing, so I will get it out there. Kim, this is Brian. Okay, I lost us. Kim, how has the acting field changed since you started? Is it a career you recommend for someone?
Okay, well, there's two different acting careers that I was on, Brian. I was in the film and theater business, and I'm not going to lie, back in the day, the casting coach was such a big deal. Actually, there's been a couple of, interviews I did where people really wanted to remember that Me Too situation thing.
Yes.
They all want to talk about that, and I was just like, it was such a common thing, the running around the couch, and well, I lost that job because I didn't do what he wanted.
Stop running.
Yeah. So that was like so common back then. And I talked to a few of my friends are in the business still, and they're like, I'm just waiting for that knock at the door, because they thought they were just being themselves and making comments, and now they're just like, everybody's, I'm going to get canceled any minute because I called somebody a fat something. And so but that's changed. And now I find that with ACTRA, the union, everything is like really monitored. If you do anything over time, if they ask you to do this, if you do more than one audition, you should get compensated. And they are really trying to make it better for the actors, because that's such a tough business.
So it's one of the things in this world that has gotten better, you believe, that from when you started it?
I think it's gotten better. But on the other hand, the acting that I do right now mainly is I'm an entertainer, which is I do children's magic shows and parties, and sometimes I do statue work, things like that.
I didn't know if you froze or that was you doing statue work.
And that's what I still do, and that there's so much of it right now. There's I don't know, since COVID, everybody wants to party. Sometimes we go to shows, there's 8 entertainers, 8 guests. It's like, how you just spend so much money. So
It's yeah, no, we are going through a definite transition phase, I would think, possibly. I think so. Anyways, I'm not okay. Soria, tell me how to say that properly, because I don't want to. Sora. Here we go. And she says, there you go, movie scripts too. My memoir, since German Festival has been begging for a movie script, Kim. I can't afford you otherwise. So now, see, people are asking to turn their novels into scripts. So you just get this down pat. You can go one way or the other, and just keep things flowing. She also says that Pleasure Club is a tantalizing title. Pre-sold copies. This is a great ad. So, do you have that up for? Okay. Brian's giving some authorly advice on editing. Write drunk and edit sober. That when you're in.
Excellent advice.
But though editing while sober, it's painful business. I think it's because, I mean, I haven't got past my first draft, so I shouldn't be talking. But my thing is, once you know what happens in the story, it sort of loses its glamour, and then it's down to hard work. People don't understand in their dreams and images of what a writer is doing, what very hard work it is.
Well, you know what, Vicky? I don't want this to sound like I'm really pushing Kitty Casino, but I edited that thing 10 times and it's a 350-page novel. And I actually enjoyed it every single time until the very last one, just
Really?
because I was done. But every time I almost seemed, and I was the writer of it, I almost seemed to find something new or something else that made me laugh.
With the characters and their well, this is
Yeah.
it. People don't understand the amount of number of times that people edit, right?
Mhm.
And they think, and the more successful an author is, it seems the more they edit their book. So you can see how that contributes to the success of good editing is everything. And to know your characters and to know why there has to be a reason why everything you have to fill in all those plot holes. You can't just say, oh, the whole book was a dream.
Yeah.
People will be upset.
I hate that the most.
So, there's a lot going on there. Um, so it says, love that book about a girl addicted to sex. Okay, we just and not many authors will pick up that theme. And no, you do go where others may not.
Yeah.
Okay,
Reality. That's all reality, I
I'm
find.
going to go down to Robert. Hi, Cam. Was wondering what inspired you or gave you the passion for all this writing. It's pretty amazing listening in to all the things you have accomplished. So,
Thank you so much, Robin. I feel like I'm 180 years old. I've done so much.
and that was just yesterday, folks.
But in my whole life, ever since I was quite young, I used to write like little kids books, like Nancy Drew things, but that would fit into those little scribblers, those little notebooks.
Yes, yes.
So I've been a writer at least until about 10 years old. I've always wanted to do it. Um, the acting bug hit me also, and I really enjoyed acting. Not, and I enjoy entertaining too. The Maryland thing, it's not often you have to go to work for 15 minutes and that's your day. But writing
But
is
there's
what
all the
always,
prep with makeup and everything as well, Kim.
yeah, yeah. And then the driving and Toronto traffic is horrible. But I've always had a passion for writing, probably from my mother because she wrote a newspaper column. So and I still have that passion. It was only gone during COVID, which was a stupid. I could have used all that time, written two books in that
No, no,
time.
no, that's not your I've spoken to a lot of authors, and there have been articles, and a lot of people felt they just couldn't write because there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's that little stress that is humming in the back, even though you don't realize it the whole time. Also, there was, if you're writing a contemporary novel, what's going to happen after this? Like, we don't know how this
Mm,
is going to turn out. What is the future I'm writing for? So, all of that would have been going on in your head. So, it was a very natural thing to have happened.
good, because I taught my dog to walk backwards. So
That takes
that's what I
talent.
did.
No, but I was going to say a lot of your acting that you did was the roles were created through your own creativity and your storytelling um skills. So that they were both like complementing each other. Don't you think?
Well, let's hope. Let's hope. I just I hate lost time.
You're like me. And the many years that as years pass, we dislike it even more, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Brian, Kim, do you see yourself as a genre writer or as a teller of stories who ignores genres? I was trying
I
to figure out.
choose box B. I don't think I I don't think I write genres other than being like adult fiction, I guess I would say.
Yeah, some might say that is women's fiction. I don't like that term because, as I pointed out in my notes, I think that it would serve if we read each other's fiction. It wasn't just women's fiction, whatever. Maybe that would give us more insight into each other and our relationships. So I think it would be do men good to read these books. But yeah, just general fiction. I would think there's no.
Because I don't think my characters really, other than, I mean, living in a car, a man can live in his car. I'm trying to think. A male could be going through tough times in the film business. It could be happening almost like to any gender. So I don't see, and I do
Yeah,
have a lot of men who say, I read this book, and what other stuff do you have out there? And like,
yeah, no,
really,
this is what I was thinking, because a lot of people would, and as I said, I don't like that description of a genre, because I don't like that separation.
mm,
But I don't see, I some people might place it into like those kind of books. They're like, well, that's women's literature, put it there. And I don't think there should be that limitation, because I mean, it it they do. And that's what I wanted to know, what men who did read the books, their reaction to it. Because well, let's say, okay, so say for the example, there's a lot of novels out there that um there's not, I love all writers and all books. I do not want to book shame in any way, as my disclaimer before bringing the is. But there are many books that are like, man, bad. He did this. Now I have to find myself. So that is the
yeah,
crux to do that. And it sometimes frustrates me, because not always is man bad. Sometimes woman is bad. Sometimes we're all bad. Um,
yeah,
and and so I enjoy these books because they don't blame. The books do not blame. There are natural consequences. We do not punish the characters with our opinions. There are natural consequences to actions, and you very logically provide those consequences. So no genre. Kim refuses to be labeled. She's a free spirit. Um oh, there. Oh, Zara, that's very nice. First of all, Zara agrees with me about the service that Kim is providing, and I must announce my appreciation for anyone who agrees with me. Did you hear that, Brian? And now she also says congratulations to us both. I'm not sure on what, but for you, the books.
maybe just on meeting each other.
Yes, this has been very fun. Okay. Okay, so hello, Brian. Author Brian Greiner says, Kim, I'm only now slowly thawing out from my own
Oh,
COVID freeze in my writing.
yay! Here's to us, Brian.
Don't friend him, he'll turn on you. No, Brian.
Beware of Brian.
um oh, okay. But okay, so we're also getting greetings from author Susan Marcus and Tamara Engel. So there's a lot of people just enjoying this time, Kim,
Yay!
and saying hi. So that is always lovely. So I have to ask you questions. You're always welcome back. I'll give you incentive. Finish the next book. And then
All right,
and I'll read
I'll finish
I'll
2
read the
books.
one where you're living in the car. Not you, the character is living in the
I hope
car.
we can find it because I haven't even checked what the status is since I parted ways with that
It's still supposed to
company.
be up there. It was only the other one that said it was no longer available.
Which one? Lights, camera?
Lights Camera was no longer
I
available.
got a copy. I'll send it off to you.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you. It's good to be Fika with Vicky when you want to read the books. Um, so when we're talking about this, and you're in this world of casinos and rock bands and things like that, and when we come from a similar era, What do you have a favorite rock band? Can you pinpoint it? I'm thinking that's a
Yeah.
hard question.
No, and when I was writing the book, especially during the rock and roll scenes, just to like flavor my life,
Who did you picture?
always AC/DC. It's
Oh,
just me.
really?
Yeah, that's my go-to band.
You
Yeah,
know what? I can see that. I can see that with the yeah, yeah. I can see AC/DC
yeah. If I had a
in that
second
part.
choice, maybe Tragically Hip. I like them a lot. And then Rolling Stones, rounded off with them. What about
So
you? What's your rock
oh,
band,
I
Vicky?
don't know. I'm so bad at making choices because 'cause I'm a mood person, right? So it depends on the mood. At this moment today, I just watched the, documentary on Wham! And that may not be a rock band, but George Michael, the fact that he was producing that music, writing it, and singing it at the age of 21 just blows me
Yeah,
away. And it's a lesson because the critics downed him. Like, they were like, "Oh, this is" but he was 21. What kind of person does not encourage a 21-year-old
really.
to go further with
High
that?
school graduate almost, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
and so I'm sort of looking at him as and plus "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go" is such a happy song and can have
yeah.
so many meanings. So, I have recently, yes, people, been listening to Wham! Because it's happy and just because in memory of such a talented person who people tried to shut down, and he
Mhm.
survived that. And so, when people try to shut you down, that's what they're doing. They're not doing it because for anything for your own good. They're doing it because they don't want you to keep going and growing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's it's
Haters
something that you
hate.
learn.
Hang on, Vicky.
Oh.
I'm the worst earbud wearer in the world.
That's okay. That's why I have these because I'm like they're going to fall up. So Steve said I would have thought the hip. And you said the hip second.
Yeah.
So it's and that's sort of early, that's sort of later than AC/DC. Like, the hip wasn't really in the 70s and
No,
early
no, no.
80s.
But they came out with this one album, and I even was so impressed. Like Robin Williams at one point gave them such a shout out. That's probably why they became very well known. But the Boots Are Hearts album, that one, replay till I destroy the DVDs, the CDs.
Because there is so much storytelling within their work. Like storytelling and real emotions and just a sense of music that is very original. Like
Hmm.
the way it just they should be on everybody's favorite band list. Um Tamara's correct me. Okay. Late 80s, early 90s. That's what I was thinking. Oh, and Steve says this has been a very engaging interview. Great by
Yay!
both of us. Okay, when are we going on the road, Kim? No, you have to write and send me that other book. We
Oh.
have things to do. we can we have responsibilities. We can't just go traipsing off. Or
But you are
can
inspiring me. Thank you so much, Vicky.
we? Oh no, thank you. This has been fun and I'm glad I'm glad that you are so lively because writing is a very solitary experience and so it tends to attract introverts or whatever. But with your other personality and things that it's been very lively and fun and the commenters have been out there in droves,
Yeah, thank
and
you.
we're just having a party over here.
But
So
I'll tell you, in real life, I am quite. People say I'm not, but I feel like I am an introvert. I'm not one to go out there and meet people because I do like to stay home and do my writing and do my own thing. Um,
but you like
but
to entertain. Entertainment is like a form of storytelling. So
I guess,
when you're in that character, you're like, "No, I can see that," because as crazy as I am being, excuse me, as crazy as I'm being this afternoon, I'm a quieter person, so I would
yeah.
not act this way on the streets. You're safe, people. Um, and it's just we can't see them. Here we are, just having coffee over a table that happens to be 2 to 3 hours away, depending on traffic, from each other.
Yeah, yeah.
And so no, I can see that you're not, but you are doing a fine job of being out there for us today, Kim, and it's
Thank
nice to
you.
see you without all the okay. So and see, Sarah. Okay, I have to get this right. I apologize. Your friend from the Courtney Park Writers Group,
Zora Zolberry.
Zoro Soberry.
Zora.
Zora?
Yeah.
Okay. Absolute extrovert, I thought. You know what, Zora? We need to have coffee because we've had similar opinions about Kim this whole time. So we need to talk about her. And and Robin says, another really interesting broadcast. Thank you, Vicky and Kim. Thank you, Robin, for turning out. And I am working on those. Okay, tell me what you think about this. At the end, I say, may your coffee be hot and your story sweet. And so people have suggested they would like a mug that says that to go along with Fika. But when you look at having these mugs made, they can be upwards to $30. Now, don't you think $30 is a lot for a mug?
I'll send you a link. I got a friend who does that thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm finding nothing, and I cannot be responsible for people paying $30 for a mug. I just won't let it happen. So it's delayed because I'm thinking about you, Robin. Okay. This is what I'm saying. Kim, where can we find your books? We can find you writing, I hope. So don't go looking for her.
The usual Amazon, Barnes and Noble. That's about what I think is out there.
It's just the regular places people
Yeah.
go looking, and they're on, and I believe the ones that are available are all on ebook and as well as in paperback, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. They are.
And reasonable. In this country, here in Canada, Dirty Numbers was only $3.99.
Yeah, that's an ebook.
Yeah, as
Only
an
an
ebook.
ebook. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the point is, they can go now, have their afternoon coffee, and order a copy and start reading it while they're
So you like your ebooks, don't you?
they're easier to read. You can make from an older. I didn't think I would ever make this transition. And then during COVID, it was important because you could just order the books, right? And then it became too small on my phone, so I got a e-reader. And then you can make as you grow older, they're lighter, the words can be bigger. There are advantages too.
Okay, maybe you talk me into it.
You can take them everywhere. I do. And for the average person out there, it is cheaper to read ebooks.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to budget their way. So read what you like. I never want to force anybody into any decision making. This is a big decision. So I'm so glad you came. I'm so glad we had this time.
Same.
I'm looking forward to reading your other work and to see Boys.
Book of Boys. So far.
Book of Boys. That's a very intriguing title. Coming out and being launched. We need to very definitely do this someday again. So
would love to.
Whenever you're ready, just knock on the door. It'll always be open for you, Kim. Okay. Right. So now we have to say bye, Kim, even though we were having fun. And I have to make I don't even know what message this was from Brian there. Okay. Hi, Brian's message. I got carried away. You take care and we'll talk later. Okay.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye. There we go. All right. That was such a fun time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And I will see you all next week. And I'm just going to close down comments. I think I got the last one. So I'm just going to end comments now. And I will see you all next week. And until then, may your coffee be hot and your story sweet. Thanks for listening, everyone.